All right, guys. So apparently, allegedly, according to the New York Times, Kamala Harris internally has some things to say about her negative news coverage, right? And of course, she's playing the blame game. She's not taking any responsibility for the fact that she is the least popular vice president in the history of this country, or put it this way, the least popular vice president in the modern history of this country. Okay, she is just not well liked. She's never been well liked. Okay, but for whatever reason, again, she's passing the blame on why she's so unpopular, despite the fact that she's clearly unqualified for the position. And unsurprisingly, she is blaming the negative media coverage on not being a white male, right? Not being a white male, right? That's what it is, Kamala. It's your skin color and your sex, right? It's your skin color and what's between your pants. That's why you're not well liked, right? That's why you get negative media coverage. Again, guys, this shouldn't be a surprise. This is what people on the left do. They make excuses every single time they're failing, instead of just accepting their failures, taking responsibility, and trying to get better, right? Trying to figure out why people don't necessarily like you, right? And sometimes you can't really fix that stuff. Kamala just seems to just not be a likable person, just from a personality standpoint. She might not be able to fix it. But if she actually realized that and understood that, I think that would be more beneficial for her than trying to default and say that, well, people don't like me because I'm not a white male. So let's read here this summary from Newsmax in regards to the New York Times article, because I think they did a good job summarizing what's in it. And it's going to talk about some of these issues that Kamala Harris is experiencing and some of the things that she is privately telling people about why she's failing. So let's read here. Vice President Kamala Harris has told confidants that news coverage of her would be different if she were a white male, the New York Times reported. Now, again, this is the New York Times saying this, right? And New York Times is saying that Kamala is telling people this internally. Okay, so again, this is alleged, maybe you take it with a grain of salt, but hey, in my opinion, I believe it's true, right? And again, one of the reasons why is because people on the left, they always pull the race and the sexism card anytime they're criticized, okay? And I don't think that Kamala is above that. I mean, all of her little allies in the media have all been saying that she's getting negative press simply because she's a black woman, right? Or allegedly a black woman. Right? Indian woman, woman of color, whatever you want to call it, right? So yeah, but what she's saying is just, in my opinion, just objectively not true. Because look at how the media covered Trump, right? Trump is a white male, and the media eviscerated Trump on a daily basis. There was nothing but negative press and negative news about Trump day in and day out, okay? He didn't get a positive press card just because he is a white male. No, this man got way worse negative news coverage than Kamala Harris, right? And she has the unmitigated gall, right? The cojones to complain and say that she's getting negative news coverage because she's not a white male, when the white male that was in office before her, right? Him and Mike Pence and Trump really, in my opinion, got way more negative news coverage. Again, it's ridiculous and it's silly. But when it comes to her approval rating, the least popular vice president for her, I believe, was Dick Cheney. Okay, now that doesn't really mean anything because all the vice presidents have basically been white men before her. But Dick Cheney had a very, very, very low approval rate. I think it was like around 30%. Okay, and Kamala's like slightly below that or something like that. But what it proves is that white men can be unpopular in this country, right? In fact, the white man that is currently the president of the United States right now is very unpopular in this country, and people don't necessarily like him. But the reason why people dislike Kamala more than they dislike Joe Biden has nothing to do with Joe Biden's skin color or him being a male. It has everything to do with the fact that they really didn't like Kamala before she was even vice president. They didn't like her in the primaries, okay? They didn't even like her in the primaries. So again, maybe Kamala's just not a very likable person. And I don't even think the media, at least the mainstream liberal media, has really even been covering her that negatively. So if she's going to point fingers, right, and play the blame game and the excuse game, she needs to point the fingers at the white man that's running the country right now, Joe Biden, or allegedly running the country, because we really don't know who is running the country. And it sounds to me like she may be low-key kind of doing that. So it says here, Harris also told friends that unmanageable issues, i.e. southern border crisis, voting rights, that she has tackled have created difficulties for her, the Times reported Thursday. Now, again, keep in mind, the New York Times is alleging that Kamala saying this herself. She's saying that these issues that have been handed to her by Joe Biden are some of the reasons that, she's had a difficult time. Okay? Now, I ain't gonna lie to you. Biden has handed Kamala some difficult issues. And I don't think that Kamala and Biden really like each other all that well. I don't think they're really buddies. Okay? I think that they were forced to be together by the Democrat establishment because they wanted to play identity politics in order to win the election. Okay? Because again, keep in mind, Kamala's the same person that called out Joe Biden's racist past on national TV, right? Accused him of being against busing, right? Brought up his Me Too allegations. Okay? She brought up all kinds of things against Joe Biden, right? So I can't imagine in what world would Joe Biden really like Kamala Harris. And yeah, I think that is evidenced by the fact that he is giving her issues that is hard for her to win on. But it's not even like she's done a good job on those issues. She's actually just done an absolute terrible job on those issues. And we're going to get more into that. Quote, I think it's no secret that different things she has been asked to take on are incredibly demanding, not always well understood publicly, and take a lot of work as well as a lot of skill. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg told the Times, quote, you have to do everything except one thing, which is take credit. Harris supporters, such as Representative Karen Bass, Democrat from California, says the administration should have stood up for the vice president more aggressively amid negative media coverage. What the White House could have done is been clear with the expectations of what was supposed to happen under her watch. Bass, former chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus, told the Times. In March, President Joe Biden put Harris in charge of the U.S. response to the influx of migrants that has overwhelmed the southern border. The vice president then was criticized for waiting nearly 3 months to visit the border and for her answers after being asked why she hasn't gone to the U.S.-Mexico boundary sooner. All right, so let's talk about this real quick before we get into more details about why she's messing up at the border. Part of the reason why the border crisis was as bad as it was, or it is as bad as it is, because it's still going on even though the media is not covering it, is because she and Joe Biden, right, but she really told people to come. She told immigrants to come, migrants to come, right? She ran on that when she was vice president, okay? And because of that, that incentivized people to come to the border. So it's a crisis that she created. So yes, she has to take responsibility of that. Yeah, it kind of sucks that Biden kind of put you in charge of that, but you signed up for it. You asked for people to come. And they did when you got in office as vice president. So you can't pass the blame on Biden for giving you that assignment. And when you got the assignment, you failed miserably at it, right? You failed miserably at it for various reasons. And this is one of them right here. Let's read here. Representative Harry Kohler, Democrat, told the Times his experience with Harris' team has been disappointing. He said he never received a call back after his staff reached out after learning the vice president would be visiting the border. Quote, I say this respectfully to her. I moved on, Kohler told the Times. She was tasked with that job. It doesn't look like she's very interested in this, so we're going to move on to other folks that work on this issue. Okay, so this is a Democrat from Texas that is literally saying, yo, I called up the vice president when I heard she was coming to the border, and I want to work with her on this issue. And Kamala never hit this person back up. She never reached back out to this person. Again, are you really doing everything in your power to try to stop this issue, right? And then on top of that, when she's questioned about it, she snaps, right? Y'all remember the interview, again, when she was asked about why she hasn't gone to the border. She was talking about, why I haven't gone to the European border either, or something like that, right? Something crazy. That even the White House had to come out and be like, I don't know why she said that, bro. Right? I don't know why she said that. Okay? So she's doing that, refused to go to the border. She was going to gay pride parades and stuff like that. It seemed to me that she was just simply uninterested in a issue that was obviously a crisis. Okay? And when asked about it, she always passed the blame to Alejandro Mayorkas, who's the head of the Department of Homeland Security, okay, instead of taking responsibility for herself, even though she's supposed to be in charge of it. She's the border czar, right? Again, when asked about the Haitian migrants at the border, she acted like she really didn't know, right? She acted like she didn't know what was going on. And it's like, how can you be in charge of something and you don't even know what's going on? Well, the reason why is because she's simply uninterested in the problem. She doesn't really want this assignment. She's not interested in this, okay? She's interested in simply getting praised because she's a so-called black woman, right? And you're not supposed to criticize her in the fact that she's not trying to solve the problems that she was tasked with solving. Just because you don't like an assignment doesn't mean that you can just ignore it and not do your job, right? Each of us, when we have a job in corporate America, if you work in corporate America, whatever job you have, we have to do things we don't want to do. You might get an assignment for your boss that you really don't feel confident in, you don't feel like you're qualified to do, but you got to do it, right? You got to do it, okay? And Kamala's just not doing that. The Times also said Kamala asked to lead the Biden administration's effort on the voting rights issue. Although she has invited activists to the White House, Harris has not developed detailed plans to work with lawmakers on a bill, a senior official in her office told the Times. Okay, so again, Kamala's supposed to be ahead on the voting rights thing, which is an issue that they really can't win on. And it's an annoying issue, in my opinion, because it's framed as if people in this country don't have the right to vote, where everybody in this country, except illegals, has the right to vote. And Democrats really, they just want to give illegals the right to vote. That's what they really want to do. Okay, but yeah, that's a losing situation. But even that, okay, she's not working on any detailed plans to work with her colleagues on any type of bill at all. Right? She's just out here trying to be a figurehead. So again, what are you doing? Right? You're not working on the border. You don't care about that. You claim you're working on the voting rights issue, and you're not even working with lawmakers on the bill. Again, I'm glad she's incompetent, but I'm also not glad she's incompetent too, because again, issues like the border, we need somebody competent in charge, right? We can't have these people running up in here like this. Okay? Harris' standing among the public has remained relatively low. A recent Robinson Report survey found that more than half of voters have a negative opinion of the vice president and don't think she's ready to take over if Biden leaves office. Survey results show that 57% of likely voters view Harris unfavorably, including 50% who have a very unfavorable impression. Only 39% have a favorable impression of Harris, including 19% who have a very favorable view of her. Yeah, those 19% and that 39%, that have a very favorable impression of her, those people are delusional, right? I don't know what world they're living in, okay, where Kamala is favorable, okay, because she hasn't done anything. She's clearly incompetent. She's clearly not cut out for the job, and she only got it simply because she's a so-called woman of color, right? She was an affirmative action hire. That's just what she was. I'm sorry. That's the truth. And even Biden knows that, because there are reports now, in the New York Times, that same article in which they were saying that Biden doesn't even consult Kamala on much, right? Like when it came to the whole Build Back Better thing with Joe Manchin, apparently Kamala just walks in the room and says, hey, and then turns around and leaves, right? And it's really him and Joe Manchin the ones discussing what's going on, right? So the real question Charlamagne should have been asking Kamala Harris is if she's really the vice president, right? Is it Joe Manchin or her, right? Who's the real vice president of this country? Because it seems to me that Joe Manchin has more influence on legislation than Kamala Harris has, right? She ain't doing nothing on the border. She ain't doing nothing on so-called voting rights. And when it came to the stimulus package, Joe Manchin had big input on that. And when it came to the infrastructure bill, the bipartisan one, Joe Manchin had a lot of input on that. And when it came to the BBB not passing, Joe Manchin has a lot of influence on that. So again, Joe Manchin seems to be the vice president of this country right now, not Kamala. So that's what Charlamagne really should have been asking. Who is the vice president of the country, right? That is what we actually should be asking, okay? So, Kamala, you're not disliked because you're a black woman. You're disliked because you're incompetent. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.